So this morning we read about what's in that burger. And what are some concepts that were in that article? Who can share out just a little bit? Alan, go for it.
Calorie count?
Calorie count, right? So we've been thinking a lot about calories. And today's lecture topic is, in fact, calories. So today we're going to talk just a little bit factually about calories, right? And our essential questions, so our objective for this unit is to investigate the calorie as a unit of thermal measurement, and thermal energy, and a unit of dietary energy, right? But we've also got some really important essential questions, and those essential questions are, what are calories? Where do they come from? And how do they provide dietary energy, right? What's going on with the calorie? So, really quickly, I want to ask a question. What's got more calories? A plate of carne asada fries or a plate of salad? The carne asada fries, right? Okay. So, what are some other things that have calories? Does soda have calories? Everything has calories. Oh, okay. So like, even water has calories? What about, so not everything. So like, we said everything has calories. Like, what about this chair? Does this chair have calories? You guys are like, no, does anybody think the chair has calories? Raise your hand if you think the chair has calories. Kurt says yes. Alan says yes. Okay, are we joking or are we serious?
I'm serious.
You're serious?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah?
It could have calories.
No, Alan.
I'm like, eat it.
Take it easy, right? So here's the distinction. If you eat this chair, heaven help you, but if you eat this chair, right, you're not going to absorb any dietary calories. Best case scenario, somehow the chair passes through your digestive tract without causing too much energy, and off you go, right? But if you light the chair on fire and heat some water with the chair, the water's going to gain what? Energy, thermal energy, and that's where the calorie comes in. So, the calorie is defined like this. So, 1 calorie is the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water, and of course the chemical formula for water is H2O, by 1 degree Celsius. Okay? 1 degree Celsius. That's what a calorie is. So I'll put a little bullet right there, because we need to know that. And so, the calorie really is just a measure of energy. So anything that can give off energy can provide calories. But there's this distinction between dietary energy and just regular old energy that our bodies couldn't necessarily use for like metabolic processes, okay? So if I put a tea kettle with some water in it on the stove, and I turn on the stove, what happens to the water? Water gets hot, right? It starts to boil, sure. So the water is absorbing calories from the stove, right? The temperature of the water is going up, and you could measure that temperature in degrees Celsius if you wanted, right? And the stove is providing calories, thermal energy, to the water. But dietary calories are a little bit different. Sure, just like you would measure thermal energy in calories, we can measure dietary chemical energy in calories. But only 3 types of molecules provide energy for the human diet or for the human body, okay? So let's go ahead and put this on the board. So dietary energy is chemical energy. Three classes of chemicals provide dietary energy. Okay? And those three classes are called fats, carbohydrates, I really meant to say sugars, and proteins. Okay? Those are the three primary classes, right, of molecules that provide dietary energy for humans, all right? So, for all of us in this room, that's where the vast majority of our calories are coming from, okay? There is one other class, I'll go ahead and mention it. So, ethanol, right, which is in like the alcohol that adults drink, that also has calories just by itself. That molecule, ethanol, does in fact have calories. So that's one more thing. But this is where people get the bulk of their caloric intake, okay? So we'll talk a little bit about those dietary energy contributors. So carbs, fats, and proteins. Okay. So carbohydrates can be simple. Like the mono and disaccharides. Found in fruits, honey, and sugary treats. Okay? And when I say sugary treats, I include sugary drinks, okay? So your cakes, your sugary cereal, your Coca-Cola, whatever it is, right? Along with fruits and honey. But there's a big difference between fruits and the rest of these guys. The fruits have dietary fiber, which is actually undigestible sugar. And the fruits also have phytonutrients, so those components will keep your body from metabolizing the fruit simple sugar quickly. So these are really healthy to eat, okay? They'll provide you with a nicely metered out level of energy, whereas like honey and sugary treats, they're gonna get you all excited right away, you're gonna feel great, and then boom, you're gonna crash and you're not gonna feel as good, okay? And you're gonna wanna eat more and more sugar. And so that's why we have this obesity epidemic in this country, okay? And these also contribute to cardiovascular disease epidemic and cancer epidemic in this country, in the developed world actually. So carbohydrates can be simple. Carbohydrates can also be complex. Okay? Complex. So starches, which are polysaccharides, are found in grains. Everything okay? Okay. Found in grains. For example, wheat, which is used to make bread. Scholars, there shouldn't be any talking. Thank you. So wheat, which is used to make bread, rice, oatmeal, okay, etc. And starchy vegetables. Like potatoes and yuca. Okay? So fats, molecularly speaking or chemically speaking, we're going to learn what carbohydrates are, we're going to learn what polysaccharides and mono and disaccharides are. We're going to learn all of these chemical terms, proteins, etc. We're going to understand them right down to the atomic level. But right now we're just going to understand them as words and concepts that relate to our diet. So we're zooming in, okay? We're starting with what we know in the real world. We eat food. Food has calories, right? Food is made up of chemicals with these names, and we're going to zoom in and understand structurally what these things are. So fats, also known as triglycerides. Okay? Can come from both plant and animal sources. Okay? From animals, what you're usually talking about is fat. Just fat plus human rest. Fat that's on the animal. Okay? So if you eat a piece of steak or a piece of chicken, and there's some fat there, that's where your triglycerides are coming from the animal. Plants are really interesting. Plants have fat usually in their seeds, all right? So if you crush up some some peanuts, you'll find that some oil can leak out of the peanuts, okay? That's why peanut butter is so buttery. If you just blend up a bunch of raw peanuts or a bunch of raw cashews, you'll get a nice creamy nut butter, all right? And the same thing will happen if you blend up a bunch of seeds. So if you take a bunch of sesame seeds and you blend them in a high-speed blender, what you'll wind up with is this really cool substance called tahini. And it's used to flavor it's used usually to flavor hummus, but a lot of other things can be flavored with tahini too. And so it's a really nice ingredient. And it's very fatty, okay? So olives are seeds, and olive oil comes from crushing the oil out of those olives, right? So fats in plants usually come from seeds. All right, last little thing. Protein can also come from both plant and animal sources. So, believe it or not, vegans get plenty of protein, okay? Humans don't generally have protein deficiencies. It's really hard to find any instance of protein deficiency among humans. And the strongest animals on planet Earth are actually herbivores. So your rhinoceroses, your elephants, your hippos, those are, I don't know about the hippos, don't quote me on the hippos, but your rhinos and your elephants and your gorillas are herbivores, okay? So these gigantic land animals with tons of muscle mass are herbivores. They're vegans, all right? So outside of suckling as babies, they're not having any milk, right? And they're definitely not eating any meat. So they're big and muscly, right? So humans, a common misconception is that humans have to eat a bunch of animal protein in order to build muscle, and that's not at all true. One really good recent example is that of Nate Diaz, who's a UFC fighter. He's a top UFC fighter, and he's a vegan. So, and he believes that helps him fight better. So you can get protein from animal sources, and you can get protein from plant sources. So animal protein is always complete. So all the amino acids that your body is going to need, you can get from animal protein. From plant sources, one caveat is that you'll want to eat a variety of different plant food sources so that you'll end up getting all of the amino acids you need, okay? Plant proteins generally are not complete. So that's all for today. I just want you to understand these facts about calories. I want you to understand that the calorie is a unit of thermal energy, all right? But it's also used to measure dietary energy. And dietary energy comes from 3 classes of chemicals: the carbohydrates, the fats, and the proteins. The carbohydrates can be simple, like the ones that we find in fruits, honey, and sugary treats. The carbohydrates can also be complex, like the starches that are found in grains, like bread, or wheat, which is used to make most breads, rice, oatmeal, etc., and starchy vegetables like potato and yucca. Fats can be found from animals and plants, okay? From the plants, we have the fat in the seeds. From the animals, we have it just from the muscle mass. It's fat that's attached to the skeletal muscle. And then